Hello, fellow otaku. You're watching Otaku Movie Anatomy. Tonight, we're opening gates to worlds with Fullmetal Alchemist, the Conqueror of Shamballa.
Nice. Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Otaku Movie Anatomy.
Hello, everyone.
That music. Thanks for watching Otaku Movie Anatomy, guys. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment on iTunes, and hit that thumbs up on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at The Popcorn Talk. I am your host, Yuma Ninja, and you can follow me everywhere on the internet at Yuma Ninja. Today I'm joined by...
Oh, are you looking at me?
Yes, I'm looking at you.
I can't tell, okay? I'm not looking at you so that you can look at me. I'm Maxwell Song. You can find me at Super Otaku on all the things. And who are you?
Hi, friends. I'm Mandy, and I'm from Loot Anime, or Loot Crate, as our umbrella.
This week, we are actually hosting a giveaway courtesy of Loot Anime, and that is why Mandy is joining us. She is the creative brand lead of Loot Anime.
That's me.
So just keep watching to find out how you can win that. It's the June Unity Crate?
Or yeah, we'll give you the Unity Crate, which features some awesome franchises, including Dragon Ball Z, Fullmetal Alchemist.
What?
How timely.
But why are you here? I don't get it. No, I get it. It's Loot Anime. We do anime stuff.
For those viewers out there, we are monitoring chat tonight. Max is monitoring chat. And
Hello.
He's logged in
Don't
as
mess
me. So it is me, but Max is the one that is actually behind the screen.
I don't know. I don't know about that. If just some really terrible things are said, I didn't say them, is all I'm saying.
So Mandy, for those of us watching who don't know about Loot Anime, why don't you tell us about it?
Loot Anime is a monthly subscription crate for the anime fan. So each month we include items such as apparel, figurines, collectible items, prop replicas, manga, actual physical manga. Remember, guys, when you used to read an actual manga book?
You mean like books?
Yeah.
In general? You mean like the dead art of print? Yes, I remember that very clearly.
But, all the items in the crate are exclusive to Loot Anime, so you can only get them from Loot Anime. We do a theme every month, so this month's theme is Unity, like we said before, so it has things that have a strong tie, like family tie, or like teams, that you're uniting.
Yeah.
Last month was music.
Correct, music. So Hatsune Miku was a big focus of that crate. We had the Hatsune Miku blanket, a light up leek.
That was the best. I love the shit out of that leek.
She's so hot right now. I haven't been able to get my leek. Now I need one. Oh. That sounds amazing.
I have two. Do you want one?
Yes, I do want one. Why did we not have light up leeks?
Because we haven't done anything Miku.
We will get you light up leeks. That's not a problem. Anyway, if you guys want to sign up, it's $24.95 a month plus $5 shipping. It's just lootcrate.com/lootanime. You can sign up for 1 month or sign up for multiple months, and you can save a little bit of money.
Wow.
Yeah. We are hosting a giveaway, and tonight we will be asking a question. You have to answer that question on our Facebook, which is facebook.com/otakumovieanatomy. There's a post asking you what the answer is. The first person to correctly answer that will be contacted, and you will win the June Unity Crate.
Yes.
Wow. Well, you better get on that, 11 people.
I know.
Wait, what's the question?
we haven't gotten to it yet, so you have to watch.
Okay.
So you want to win it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we will be asking your t-shirt size, so make sure you have that ready.
Oh, wow.
We do men's and ladies t-shirts, so just let us know, small through XXL.
Get some sweet loot, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the Conqueror of Shamballa.
Wait, before we start, can I just say that this is the most organized we've ever been? I really think so. I feel like, we have a contest.
Yes.
We were asking people to go to things. I'm very proud of this.
Yes.
Very
We're
proud.
moving up in the world.
Yeah.
Well, now you've just made your standards much higher now, because next time I come on the show, if I'm asked back by Mr. Max
Oh,
here.
you definitely will be.
You will be.
As long as you have stuff for us to give
As long
away.
as
You can only come back if we got loot.
All right.
So just some information about this movie. The Conqueror of Shamballa opened in third position in the Japanese box office back in 2005. It took in $10 million worldwide in 2005 alone, $9 million of which was in Japan. that means it made $1 million outside of Japan. That is a shit ton of money for Japanese anime back in 2005.
Yeah, that's a while back.
I know. This movie is pretty old, like 11 years old.
What?
Right? 11?
No.
I can't count that
2005.
Is
high.
it?
Yes, 2005, dude.
Wow. This seems like so very fresh in my mind,
Yeah.
though. FMA was like such a huge franchise.
In the early 2000s,
in
yeah.
the early 2000s that it just like, I just never kind of like got over the hype of it because they had the show ended, they had the movies, but the manga was still happening, so I'd like read the manga as it continued, and then once the manga finished, then they made Brotherhood, and so it's like, yeah, it has been like 10 years, but like it's never really left either.
Yeah, I feel like I still see people cosplaying it,
Oh,
so it's still kind of lingering. I think it was one of the big ones during the early 2000s.
Oh, totally. That's how I got to know Fullmetal Alchemist was just via all the cosplayers that were at all these conventions.
There were so many.
Yeah. If you took a shot for every, like, I feel like Ed you saw,
Yeah, for every Ed you saw.
you'd be drunk
Yeah.
in
So
like
drunk.
a half hour.
Oh no, you would be dead. Like there's no drunk. You just
Yeah,
your life would end. That's a
It was
dangerous game to
It's
play.
kind of like back when everybody was cosplaying Shingeki no Kyojin. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
every scout you saw, you're like, oh shit,
Oh, yeah.
take a drink.
And then die.
I don't want to play that
Die.
game ever.
Anyway, this movie still ranks as the 47th best anime film of all time in Japan. This is a Japanese poll.
Sure.
Wait, what's number one?
I have no idea.
Pokemon
I
movie.
didn't.
I
Probably
believe.
Pokemon,
I'm pretty sure it's the Pokemon movie.
which we did last week, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's
Yeah.
see. I'm gonna check
Which
that
did not hold up, by the way.
out. How dare you say that?
It was.
How dare you?
History, John. Anyways,
man.
this movie, it has pretty favorable reviews for an anime. I feel like it's pretty high. It's got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I was very surprised about. The general plot of this movie is apparently, Max told us it is actually an epilogue because I was super confused watching this as to
As
where
was
it
I.
fell in the timeline. This takes place 2 years after after Edward recovers his brother's body by sacrificing himself. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max.
Yes.
By doing this, Edward gets dragged from his homeworld through the gate of alchemy.
It's the gate of alchemy. Don't say it like it's a question. That's
It's a
just what it
question
is.
for me.
It's the gate of alchemy. And if you don't know what the gate of alchemy is, it's basically kind of this. Now you find out that it's this door between dimensions. But the idea is that alchemy is energy that is actually converted from the other world. It's basically when
okay.
people die. That's the energy that's used that goes through the gate and then hence is turned into alchemy and vice versa.
Is it like the Force?
Is it
I don't
just
know.
like-
Is there a gate of the Force?
No, not
Is
a
there a
gate.
Force gate?
That's not how the Force works.
You become like one
Get outta
with the
here.
Force.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
die.
sure, but I mean, it does. If it links to another dimension,
No,
then
okay.
it's kind of not the same thing.
Totally not the same.
So
Good try
tried.
though.
I tried.
Yeah.
Good try, though.
you tried to link it back to Star Wars.
Always try to link it back to Star Wars. I mean,
So, by being pushed through this gate of alchemy, he actually is pushed to Earth 1923, where the world is fundamentally governed by the laws of modern science at the time of 1923. And logic and science are kind of... Oh, I said that. So what happens when he gets pulled through is he is stripped of his alchemy powers and his newly restored arm and leg. So he still has
His automail doesn't work
Yeah.
anymore because I don't. The whole thing is a little confusing
Yeah,
because
it's
the
very
automail
confusing.
should actually still work. But I think
Once
the
he
whole
did-
thing is
yeah.
he like came into the world and he didn't have his automail.
Yeah.
I think was the thing.
yeah, because he has like that bin full of arms and legs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny because it was like
those
those
things just
umbrella
broken.
bins. Like in Japan, you was like you put your like umbrella.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was just like, and I was like, wait, there's just arms and legs in this thing. I was very confused as to why it was there.
I really like that there's like when you watch it with no context, you just focus on like the weirdest things.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, look at this bin of arms. That's
It was.
weird.
It was like one of those like little bins, and it
Yeah.
just had a bunch of legs and arms hanging.
Right. And when I saw it, I was just like, oh, that's
just
his
normal.
his leg and arm bin. That makes sense. He just has a lot of them for whatever day it is. Like, I get it.
It's the Friday leg.
Yeah.
And you can't wear your Friday leg on a Thursday.
No,
Don't
that would
try.
be a fashion faux pas
Yes.
in the 1920s.
So there's a bit of history in this, but in German 1923, the German socialist group, what will become the Nazis, tries to open the gate to this world, which they call Shamballa. I don't know if
why?
it's called...
It's called Shamballa. The reason it's called Shamballa is relatively arbitrary, but
Yeah.
Shamballa is from Hindu and Buddhist culture, and it's kind of like this. They say that it's an ancient world, or like this kind of like Garden of Eden in the Hollow Earth. And
Okay.
so that's a real thing within like real religion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like El Dorado, or
Okay.
once again
okay.
the Garden of Eden. And so Shambhala is just one of those things that, like, do you know how Japanese people have to like appropriate random?
Yes.
Like, why would the Germans know about Shambhala? You
Yeah,
know, there's like not that much.
Yeah,
You know.
because it was very confusing. Because I was like, why are they calling it Shambhala? Because in the FMA world, it's not known as Shambhala. So I was
Yeah.
like, where did this arbitrary name come from?
But it's not arbitrary. Once again, it's
Yeah.
a real thing. It's from Tibetan culture.
But have they ever
Uncharted-
referenced that
Yeah.
in the series?
No,
They call it the Gate of Alchemy, no?
Yes, but on that side of the earth, it's called. So the
Okay,
the
yes,
older
yeah.
dimension calls it the Gate of Alchemy. The real us human side, the modern side, our dimension, if you will, thinks that it's just like this kind of like very special place. Like Uncharted 3 was
Yeah.
about. Uncharted 2 was about Shambhala. One of them was about Shambhala, but it's very like Indiana Jones-esque. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Okay,
kind of
sure,
like
sure.
actually, if you think about it, Nazis, special place, you know, some kind of weird like religious
Yeah.
thing. It's very, very Indiana Jones.
It is. It is.
Okay.
But whilst the German pre-Nazis try to open this gate with their science, or random faux science, the younger Elric brother tries to open it from his end to get back to his brother, or get his brother back.
That
Yes.
all sounds correct,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that is right.
Yes.
Continue.
That is the entire premise of this movie.
And if you have not seen Fullmetal Alchemist, you might have some trouble
Yes.
understanding what's
Even if you have
happening.
seen a bit of Full
Yeah.
Alchemist like myself, you would be very confused because
Yeah.
like when they start, you know what's super confusing? You see Ed, and then he's in this car with this other blonde guy who looks pretty much like him, whose name is also Alphonse, which is the name of his younger brother. So I
Right.
was just like, wait, is this his younger brother, or is it this just random dude that he hangs out with? But they call him by a different last name, so it's like, why would you have two characters with the same exact last name who look very similar, but then they show his brother, and it's like, oh, but then his brother looks completely different. I was so confused.
Yeah. But then,
Coincidence? No, I don't know either. That's
Yeah.
just like one of those things
no,
that
they mentioned that like there's like a counterpart in this world
Yeah.
for the
it's the idea that there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, in a way, you can say that it's not really that big of a coincidence because his alternate person, like Ed's alternate person, if he came through the gate, would have to be surrounded by kind of like, you know, where all of his other alternate kind of dimensional people would be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you had to explain it that way, which they never do, by
They
the
don't.
way, it just so happens that there's a dude that's named almost exactly the same thing as his brother and looks exactly like his brother,
But
that's-
taller and like-
taller and German-er, I guess.
Germaner.
Germaner. But yeah, so even if you have seen the series, this was kind of confusing for me, and I was very like, had to like watch it while reading the Wikipedia and asking my fiance questions because I was like, what the shit is going on?
I think you aren't the only person that had that problem. When I watched it, I was also pretty confused, and after watching it like 3 times, then I was able to like fully kind of understand the nuances because it like there's a lot of little things in the story that you have to watch the original series to like understand. And when I mean some, I mean literally everything. You have to watch all the series to understand every part
And then
of
you
it.
get the cliff notes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
read the Wikipedia page. And, yeah.
So I can understand your confusion, especially if someone's not like obsessed with it, kind of like I was back in the day. Then it would be very much like, oh, you're instantly lost.
Yeah.
So
because it was very like off the rails at some point. There's just like, then there's Nazis and what the shit is
There's
happening?
a dragon.
Yeah, there's a dragon. There's like a blob with like baby bits on him.
the baby with blobs is Gluttony.
Gluttony, yeah.
Gluttony, who used to be one of the homunculi in the original series. I actually forget what happens to him. I mean,
Wait,
I know he's
so-
supposed to get eaten, but...
Explain the homunculi shit to me and
Okay,
maybe.
the homunculi are basically the gate's alternative to human transmutation. So basically, every homunculi is a failed experiment of human transmutation. Okay, so the first series, it's very hard to explain what that actually really means. The second series, it makes a lot more sense because the gate has made another kind of like there's this big experiment, and this kind of dark matter, this kind of evil being becomes a human through human transmutation. The first human transmutation, which is Hohenheim, which is Ed and Al's father, who is an immortal. Okay.
Oh my god.
So, anyway, the whole thing is you're not supposed to do human transmutation, and every time someone does, they create these monsters. That's what a homunculus is. It's a fake human. And
Is it a mistake?
They are a mistake. They're not technically humans, but at the same time, they are because they're kind of they're a mixed mash product of a lot of different things.
Because, like, in the movie, they're like, oh, like, the homunculus is, like, the key to opening this gate. And then, like, suddenly there was, like, this dragon. And you know what else bothered me? Like, you know the part where the dragon is, like, flying around that little castle, and then all the planes come, and they all, like, perfectly land in a little circle? And I was like, that is not
How
enough.
planes work.
That is not enough space for those planes. They literally, it's like a circle, and they
Yeah.
all go, boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's
Yeah.
not how planes work.
Also, I thought about that too because you know that scene where Ed is in the plane, like trying to get into the castle. He like jumps from like 400 feet in the air and crashes through the castle. And
That
he's like,
doesn't
okay.
surprise me. I
And,
mean,
like,
the anime. I mean,
You know?
I mean, like he doesn't like land on his leg or he doesn't like do a weird flip. He like literally hits the ceiling, goes through it, and then lands on his back. You should be dead.
I know, it would have broken his back.
And
Yeah.
those little tiny planes, imagine, all lifted that dead dragon into like that area.
little-
I'm like,
yeah.
how did that happen?
Ingenuity, probably. Look, we made the pyramids. We can put a dragon in a circle, okay?
With tiny,
We're humans.
tiny 1930s warplanes.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is exactly how it works. Architecture, guys, come on.
Yeah. Anyways, well, since we've already talking about anyway, let's talk about Brotherhood and the original series, Max.
Okay, so for everyone that has seen the original series, you'll know that it's very, very dark. It's based on a manga originally, and do you remember did I write that in? I probably
No, you did not.
Anyway, he's the dude that he makes Arland. He also has done Arland. What else was it? Anyway, that's what he's doing now. But the manga never finished. And
Ever?
No, the manga finished now. But
Okay.
when the first serialization of the Fullmetal Alchemist anime began, it wasn't finished. So that's why the first half is pretty much canon with the manga, and the second half kind of does its own thing, and that's when it gets like real dark, like real dark. The Brotherhood is basically like tried and true to the manga, and it's a little bit lighter hearted, but it's more cohesive because it kind of puts alchemy in the first series is just sort of this idea and thing that they use, and they kind of never really fully explain or elaborate on how it all works together in the world. But Brotherhood, it does. It's supposed to be like you realize like alchemist is like yin and yang, so there is kind of like all these equal balances that go on. And the author definitely explains everything and makes it so the ending is also cohesive. So watch Brotherhood, definitely. A lot of people, I think, are of the opinion that Brotherhood is better than the second than the original series, only because it is that much more cohesive, like as a full story.
Because I remember watching part of the original series, and it would like I lost interest pretty quickly. Then I remember watching parts of Brotherhood, and it was definitely much better written. I know a lot of people said because it's truer to the manga.
Yeah.
Are we talking like 26 episodes? Or are we talking like?
No, I believe there's four seasons of Brotherhood.
Specifically?
Yeah. Trying to remember the DVD
wow, that's a
count.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it's 4 seasons. Anyway, I think chat also kind of like has seen Brotherhood more than they've seen the original, because it's like their original FMA. If you're like kind of around my age.
What was chat saying?
Well, chat's saying confusing. Ha ha. Yes. This is the conclusion to the first Fullmetal Alchemist. You need to watch the first series before watching it. Correct.
Yes.
Everyone, I gotta check out Brotherhood. This is Esteban Cardono. Sorry, I'm really bad. This is like my first time having to do this.
Max is learning how to deal with chat.
Yeah. And he binged Brotherhood. Tanashi's Movie Corner said that he binged Brotherhood for sure every time. I don't know. I guess he's watched it lots of times, and so every time is all the time.
Yeah. I've only seen parts of it, but I felt overall that like Brotherhood moved much quicker through the series, and it was just less sloppy writing.
So apparently there's 64 episodes in Brotherhood.
Holy crap! Back when anime had like a bajillion episodes.
Sheesh.
Well, the whole thing about Fullmetal Alchemist is like, it's always gonna be popular. Did you guys hear that they're making a live action movie of Fullmetal Alchemist?
Yes, they are.
So they're gonna make a live action Fullmetal Alchemist, which is kind of cool. It has an all Japanese cast. Ed is a woman, and I believe Al is also a woman too. So the casting is it's very more like what is that theater that I'm thinking of?
Takarazuka.
Yeah, Takarazuka.
Yes. Okay.
Esque, which I'm very excited about. I think that idea of it is pretty interesting.
I saw a bunch of stuff with that, and there's a lot of buzz. A lot of people are like hoping it does well. I hope it's as good as live action Kenshin. That is still the bar.
Right.
Now, could you? Okay, was the Kenshin film based off the anime? Like, was it retelling, or was it like an original
manga
of the manga?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's original in the sense that they've kind of gathered all these reference points and then kind of put it together in their own way. And the third movie is basically almost completely divergent in a way, but at the same time, it kind of has like the core idea. And Ultra Robo Ninja.
What up?
Like, I don't know who that is. Is Brotherhood a retelling of the story or a sequel? It is a retelling,
of
the manga version.
Yes.
And so someone in chat has said that at the point where the greed fight happens is when it diverges, and or they lost interest, and that's actually the point at which it diverges, because then they start adding a bunch of stuff like Ed and Al's mother is like a part of is a homunculi, and she's like,
oh no,
she's like rain and stuff.
Oh no.
So like I'm saying, it gets really, really dark, and then it starts to like kind of like examine them as brothers and their family, and like what like human
it gets real philosophical.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie was really dark. There's like a lot of racism in this movie. I mean,
super racism.
Well, it's definitely about kind of like post World War I Germany, which I thought they did really well.
Yeah, I agree. They did it pretty well.
If you're gonna have like a dark movie, at least you're gonna have a dark movie that like is very like kind of relevant. It's not like a DC movie nowadays where it's just like dark for being dark. You know what I mean? It's dark because humans are dark, and because it's rooted in history, it's even that much more scary. And even though it's a really kind of simple reason, I thought the motivation of the bad guy, the bad woman. What's her name?
Don't remember.
God damn it.
Blonde lady.
The blonde lady.
The blonde German lady.
She's just so forgettable.
Yeah,
Except for the fact that she's like evil, like she's like the most
literally
forgettable
like
character
a
ever.
throwaway villain.
Yeah, they call she's like a lieutenant or something.
Yeah.
Of like the Nazi army, basically, of their occult area, of their occult squad.
Yeah.
But basically, her whole motivation was that she was afraid of this world. She was afraid of the world past the gate.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to destroy that world because she was afraid that, you know, that world would retaliate.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you know that? But it's also like, did you, how can you say that with living through literally the first season of the series in which the whole thing was like, we're just going to make war so we have human sacrifices to make our stone. Like, that was the whole point of Fullmetal Alchemist. And then you're just kind of like, but Ed. Ed, do you remember that?
She was such a flimsy villain because, like, she's like, the entire movie, they're like, oh, she's going to help them break through this and get to Shamballa. And all of her motivations are like, we're going to get to Shamballa. Finally, I've been trying to do this in my entire life. As soon as she gets to the other side, she's like, I'm going to destroy it. And I was like, wait, at what point did you decide this? Like, there were no hints. There was no exposition as to you disliking this world or being scared of it. She's just like, through the gate, I'm going to kill everybody. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Eckhart is her name.
Eckhart, okay.
Yes. So, as we're going back to this topic,
Yep.
I think if I had to suggest something to you, I would say each series kind of is good in its own right. You know, I think as a cohesive story, you should definitely watch Brotherhood, and obviously it's way more updated too. The animation is a lot nicer. You know, they have the previous Fullmetal Alchemist budget, so like, you know, when they said, hey, we're gonna make a revamp of Fullmetal Alchemist with like the manga and everything, like they really put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
And so it looks gorgeous basically every episode, like throughout the whole series. Also, you get to see like another side of the world that is Fullmetal Alchemist. You don't just see, you know, where Ed and Al live, but then you also see kind of like the East, you know, and they start bringing like the Asian traditions. And so the whole idea is like there's two types of alchemy. There's the West alchemy, which is the alchemy that you know from the series, and then there's East alchemy, which is more about like yin and yang and balance and stuff in its own right.
That's very
and so,
deep, Max.
Yeah. And they
I'm very impressed by this breakdown.
But that is what Brotherhood is about. Like that's what makes it really interesting because it explores stuff outside of just Ed and Al's world, and then it really explains why alchemy exists in the world in general. So I would say watch that. But, you know, the good thing about the original Fullmetal Alchemist and this movie also, and kind of like how it all ties into the story is like, for the time, it was like a really great series. And to this day, I still think it's pretty good. It might have its flaws, but I really did like, even back then, how it was kind of a little bit more adult-oriented. And it did kind of explore like these really, like, a lot of it was traumatic. There was a lot of traumatic stories. Like, you see their teacher, like, because she tried to revive her kind of, like, stillborn child. Then he ends up becoming Wrath. He ends up becoming Wrath. Which
is Wrath the kid with, like, the black hair? Which one is Wrath?
Wrath is the one with the black hair,
Is it, like,
I
the
believe.
stringy black hair?
Yes, the long one.
Are there only, then, 7?
There are 7. In the other series, in Brotherhood, they do actually introduce all 7 of them. In this series, I believe there's only about 5 of them.
Okay.
Or, wait, 6. I think there's 6 of them, maybe 7. Actually, I don't remember if there's... I know the mom's one, then there's her son, and then Sloth, Envy, Lust, and then Greed. Maybe and they don't ever introduce the 7th one. Anyway, but in Brotherhood, they actually do introduce all of them, and they're different characters. So it's like, once you watch the first series, you're going to have a totally different experience. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so with that note, it's giveaway time. So remember, you have to go to our Facebook page to leave the correct answer. First correct answer is the one that wins the loot crate, Unity crate. The question is, what is alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange? So you have to go to facebook.com/otakumovieanatomy and answer on that first post. I like this Jeopardy music.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, you have a lot of time, I guess. You have until at the end of the show, right?
The end of the show, and we will contact you, whoever wins, after the show.
We're not going to announce them,
We're
right?
not going to announce them,
So
no.
there's actually no point in waiting and ignore the waiting music.
Yeah, exactly. But other things that I thought were funny about this movie were like, there were just random things that when it came up, I thought was like interesting. One of them being that L'Arc-en-Ciel did the theme song and the ending song, which was played when we started this episode. For those who are a bit too young, L'Arc-en-Ciel was a very big Japanese visual rock band.
Visual K band.
J-rock.
Yeah.
Back in like late 90s, early 2000s. It was...
true.
I was like, oh shit.
So they did a lot of
Do
anime.
they still do stuff now? Because I know they did like a Bleach opening.
Like,
they
they
did
were all over
a
the
Naruto
anime.
opening.
I think officially L'Arc-en-Ciel is no longer together. It's just Hyde. Hyde did the song. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but I knew that voice immediately when it came on. I was like, shit, is this Lark?
It made me. I got the little nostalgia wave.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's funny.
Good old J-Rock when it was a relevant thing.
Good old 2005.
Oof. Let's go back to those days.
Yeah. Back to those days when we were young.
God.
The other thing I noticed, actually I read this on the Wikipedia, it was that this script was originally over 100 pages long, and it was originally a 3-hour movie. It doesn't say if they actually animated all of it, but they had to cut out in a full hour, and a lot of the scenes were with Roy Mustang. And I was like, that makes me really sad.
Roy Mustang is awesome.
He is like the best character.
He's the best character, hands down, for sure.
What made me laugh was like when they show the hotel and it's like called the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I was like the resort,
Like the fancy.
yeah. So then I found out it is a legitimate hotel in Germany, and it is actually called. I am going to butcher this. Jahreszeitzen Kempinski.
Wow.
That
You definitely slaughtered that.
I definitely slaughtered
How
that.
did you get to there from Four Seasons Hotel?
I think it translates to Four Seasons, but in German. And the Four Seasons, as we know it, is a Canadian...
A fancy hotel
Yeah.
chain.
So I was like, wait, what? There were other things. One of the things that really bothered me was when they do show Alphonse in the other world, he looks exactly like Edward. And I was very confused at first. I was like, wait, is this Edward or is it Alphonse? And I was like, you literally gave him the same exact character design.
It's for dramatic effect.
I was so
For
confused.
confusing effect.
Sure, but dramatic.
It was not dramatic. I was like, wait, which one is this? I was so confused. Also, when the whole Munich coup happens with like the proto-Nazis, that is a real event. So it is called the, I'm going to butcher this as well, the Munich Putsch. Totally butchered that. It was when the German Socialist Party tried to take over Munich with like the beer house, apparently it was what happened, and they failed. I think about 7 people died on various sides, and then Hitler was injured, as you see him getting carried away at the end of that movie. And it doesn't show it in the movie, but historically, he gets arrested 2 days later, and it leads to his 9-month-long stay in jail where he wrote Mein Kampf.
Oh.
Yeah, but that, I was reading stuff on this, a lot of people cite that whole coup as the reason why people knew who Hitler was, because it made a bunch of front page news in Germany at that time, and so everybody knew who Hitler was at that point, and it basically kind of gave him a platform to build the Nazis at that point.
So basically what you're saying is that Ed and Al are responsible for
the Nazis.
Oh my god.
Hey, wow. Some startling revelations here
Yes.
on Otaku Movie Anatomy.
You gotta give it to, the directors and producers of this movie that, like, they really did their research and, like, it just feels very authentic to, how actually 1920s Germany was.
Yeah, at first I was laughing because, we've seen a couple of movies with like anime movies with like Hitler portrayed in it. And this one, like, as soon as he was on screen, I started laughing because I was like, oh man, he looks so fucking goofy. He looks so goofy.
Wait, who looks goofy?
Hitler in this anime. And then, like, when
you knew who he was.
Yeah, you knew exactly who he was.
Because he looked like Hitler.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And then they
technically,
carry him
Hitler
away and
just
he's
looks
kind of,
goofy.
like, dejected and kind of like, ugh. And I was like...
Because it's Hitler.
I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, oh my god, this is so bad.
I couldn't
Is it
stop
bad?
laughing.
Would you rather have
No,
be like a
I-
nice, strong, healthy Hitler, like
It-
the one that we know?
It kind of reminded me of, like, the Kung Fuhrer from Kung Fury.
That's so good, though.
And so I was like laughing the entire time. I was
I feel like
can't
that
take
movie
this
has
seriously.
ruined Hitler for me. Like,
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna think of
The
Kung
Kung
Fury
Fuhrer.
Hitler
Yeah.
forever.
And Vikings on dinosaurs.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, as you do. Anyway, the part that had me laughing was the gypsies in the car, like the back of the truck, and they started singing, and it was just so awkward. It was hard to watch. And I couldn't tell if they were trying to sing in a language. It felt kind of
Yeah, it's. I was like, what language is this?
It could be like Romani or
Romani?
Romanian?
Romanian.
What do
That's
they
what I
make?
would say.
No, seriously, what do they speak in Romania?
I think
I
Is
think
it
it's
Romani?
Romani.
Romani?
Romani? I don't know.
Google it. Google it. To the
Ask
Google.
the chat.
What-
The chat will Google
Chat,
it for you.
What? Google this for me, please.
Well, since we're on it,
What's the language that gypsies speak?
so since you're on it, why don't
No,
we just
that's
go
racist.
What? How is that racist?
You're saying that all gypsies speak the same language.
I don't know anything about
You're being
gypsies.
racist,
I'm
Max.
sorry. They have no homeland. I don't know.
Oh my god.
through what was your favorite or the most hilarious scene?
When did you laugh?
I know.
When did I laugh? I don't know. I don't really have. I mean, I don't
like,
really
this is
have
serious.
a moment because nothing really makes me laugh in that movie because everything was so dark
It's like,
and
this
drab.
is serious. How dare you two laugh?
You know,
I mean,
you know what else when I laughed? That ending scene when like they're at like the other Alphonse's, not the brother's grave,
Uh-huh.
and then the gypsy chick Noah is dancing on his grave, and all these people are like in black, like being solemn. I was like, why the fuck is she dancing with these drums
because
over
it's
his
a gypsy
grave?
thing.
But I was like,
God.
they're not even close.
I don't know why her name is.
Yeah,
is
why is her name Noah?
I don't know.
Of all the names.
I don't know. I mean, look, they did a lot of research, so
Max,
maybe there's
answer
an
me.
actual good reason. Who knows? Maybe that's a common a Romanian name in which.
Go with no.
And then like, you know what else I thought was funny? Like, you know, when they escape or whatever in the beginning when she gets sold. Okay, first of all, she gets back on that fucking truck like with the other gypsies. It's like, bitch, they sold you to the Germans. Why are you getting back
that's
on
messed
that?
up. Okay, also, like, how are you just selling people? Like, in
right?
what era is it just like, oh yeah, you know,
Here.
I'm gonna give you money. I sold you. Like, you never had the right to sell
Yeah.
me. Like, I'm just,
Yeah.
just run away. And which she
Yeah.
did,
Which she did.
which is cool and fine or whatever. But like, you know, you're just kind of like, what is this transaction that's happening
Yeah.
right now? Like, that makes no sense.
And then when her and Ed are running away, they're like running away on the road. And
Yeah.
I was like, if you're trying to get away, perhaps
Literally,
not
yeah,
on the road to
straight
the
path
carnival.
from the carnival.
there is a part where I laughed, and that was when Roy is like he's trying to light the cigarette for not Hawkeye, well Havoc, and he
Hawkeye's in this movie?
Hawkeye is in this movie.
Wait, there's a Hawkeye?
No, Hawkeye is Lieutenant Hawkeye.
Hot guy?
No, not Hot Guy. Hawkeye would be Roy Mustang.
Roy Mustang is
because
pretty
he's a
hot.
hot guy.
Hot guy.
But basically, he tries to light it with the match, and he's like just pathetic and like dejected, and it just doesn't light, and he just like is striking this fucking match, like just try a new one, like or just throw
Like,
it.
just there's a bunch of matches, Roy.
That was like totally unnecessary.
All this alchemy in the world, all this
Yeah.
magic, and they can't light a match.
Like-
It's ridiculous. I mean, like I understand, like he's the flame alchemist, and he was like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. But then at the same time, it's like this and that are not the same thing. Like it just kind of was like. It was 3 minutes of that too. It was just
Yeah.
like an awkwardly long amount of time for that to be happening.
It's like, you know what they should have cut from that 3-hour scene? That scene.
Yeah, that scene. Just cut that out. It would have been fine.
Okay.
God.
So we got 5 minutes left. Let's
gosh.
all rate this movie. Starting with Max.
I give this movie a 4. Okay, I give it a 4.
Why?
Because
Out of 10?
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
No, out of 5. We're rating out of 5.
Okay.
Mandy's new to the system.
Yeah,
Out of
you
5.
see, you don't understand our system that has no system.
Yeah, there's no real system.
There's no real system. We just like kind of arbitrarily make shit up like when we want to. So I'm going to do that now and say a 4 out of 5 because when I saw the ending of the series, I was not necessarily the most satisfied with the ending, and I was like, okay, I get it, but like that doesn't really like nothing is really tied up. It just kind of ended on for me what I thought was a pretty sour note for all the shit that they went through in the whole series, like literally all the bad things that could have ever happened to them, and then the ending is like, well, I guess we can never be together as brothers, and I'm like, why? And it's like, I feel like, you know, like you deserve it, and that kind of like also set the tone for like how sad the whole series was. The epilogue, this movie, kind of like ties up a lot of loose ends that I had when at the time I had those questions, and the manga didn't finish, so there was like none of that. And they end up being together, and that was like a really good ending for me. And I was like, there was a struggle, you know, like he didn't have his memory, whatever. So it's like he's still seeking everything, but there was enough of an adventure where it was a meaningful kind of like movie. It was a meaningful to both worlds and Ed and Elle, and they end up being together at the end. And I'm like, that is they tied it up in a really good way, and most people never get endings as well as that, like even now. So I thought they tied up a lot of things.
So you thought it was a 4.
But of course it also kind of is like, doesn't make sense.
Mandy, your rating?
I will give it a 3 out of 5, but I think a lot of that has to do with how very little Fullmetal Alchemist knowledge I have, and that I don't have like a vested interest like in the franchise and in the series and in the characters. So there's no like level of like nostalgia that I think kind of probably skews Max's.
I'm biased.
You're biased.
Are you saying that I'm biased?
I'm not saying you're biased, but
Are
I
you-
think
are you
biased.
saying-
I
are you
think like
saying-
how I will never rate a Naruto movie under 5.
okay, you go.
You gotta understand. I agree with you. Yeah, like
I'm gonna have to agree with Mandy and say this is a 3, and I will tell you why. Because I think that it was very well done as an art. You know,
Yes.
like the art was very good.
It was well animated, yes.
I did like the Larkin Cell music that hit nostalgia for me. However, this storyline was very, very like confusing. I think even knowing some of FMA like I do, like it was still very confusing. I still had to ask like and go and read and see what happened. I don't think the storyline was clear enough for anybody to just kind of follow.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
even
it
you
jumped
had to
a
watch.
lot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It in the beginning kind of doesn't like super make sense, but it's like an anime movie, which is kind of the problem with anime movies.
Yeah.
Is like once you have a movie like that after a long series, it's not gonna make sense.
Yeah.
Just watching it right off the bat.
But that is our rating.
Let me go through chat real quick.
Yes.
And we'll just answer some quick questions. Congratulations to whoever did write the stuff on Facebook. Remember,
Yeah, we
it's
will
the
check
Otaku
that.
Movie page, and we will check it. Apparently, there are some really long explanations, so good luck. So let's see. They're saying that people seem to give it a 3.5. You know, that
Yep.
seems to be fair. And someone said that it's kind of a bittersweet ending, and in a way, it is. And I just want to conclude with this. Winry gets fucked in this series, like not in like the fun, nice way, just like literally, she can never get what she wants, and that
Ever.
makes it bittersweet. but the brothers are together and gallivanting around and being butt siblings or whatever they do. So.
But what is
Butt siblings.
Butt siblings.
All right.
All right, guys, that's it for us this week. Next week, Michelle will be back, and we will be covering the Tiger and Bunny movie. Once again, I'm Yuma Ninja. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Yuma Ninja.
Oh, and I'm Maxwell Song. You can find me at Super Otaku. You really got to just tell me, or like, hey, you, or something.
You should know.
You just look at me. I thought we were gonna go in order. Anyway, by all means, go.
Hi, Mandy. You can find me everywhere as Geeky Glamorous.
And once again, thanks again to Loot Anime for sponsoring our giveaway. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Good luck.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in.
For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.